Today we will be talking about the white matter of cerebrum. The main objectives covered here are the association fibers, commissural fibers, projection fibers, internal capsule, blood supply of internal capsule, applied anatomy. The white matter of cerebrum consists chiefly of myelinated fibers which connect various parts of the cortex to one another and also to other parts of the central nervous system. So main classification is association fibers, commissural fibers and projection fibers. Coming to association fibers, these fibers connect different cortical areas of the same hemisphere to one another. They are subdivided into short association fibers and long association fibers. The short association fibers connect the adjacent gyri. It may be intracortical or subcortical in arrangement. The long association fibers, it connects the gyri which are separated from one another by considerable interval. So various examples are cingulum, uncinate fasciculus, superior longitudinal fasciculus, inferior longitudinal fasciculus, and fronto-occipital fasciculus. Now we'll take up one by one. The cingulum. These fibers extend from the area below the rostrum of corpus callosum. It arches backwards beneath the gyrus cinguli and it extends to the parahippocampal gyrus. It connects the cingulate gyrus to parahippocampal gyrus seen on the medial surface. It belongs to the limbic lobe. It forms a part of the Pepys circuit for emotional integration. The uncinate fasciculus. It hooks around the floor of the stem of the lateral sulcus and connects the Broca's area, that's area 44 and 45, and orbital surface of the frontal lobe. It extends up to temporal pole. It conveys both visual and auditory images to the Broca's area of dominant hemisphere for expression of spoken speech. The superior longitudinal fasciculus. It is one of the connecting links between the frontal eye fields and occipital cortex. These fibers begin fanwise from the frontal region. It connects area 18 and 19 of occipital cortex. Next, inferior longitudinal fasciculus. It connects area 18 and 19 of the occipital lobe with most of the areas of the temporal lobe. It lies along the lateral wall of posterior horn of lateral ventricle. So coming to the last one, that is the fronto-occipital fasciculus. It extends from the frontal pole to the occipitotemporal lobes. In the mid region of the hemisphere, the arrangement of the fibers from medial to lateral are fronto-occipital fasciculus, that's the medial most. Then we have the corona radiata and superior longitudinal fasciculus. So with this we have completed this association fibers. Next we are going on to the commissural fibers. The commissural fibers connect a wide area of the two cerebral cortexes of two hemispheres across the midline. Most of the fibers connect identical areas of the two hemispheres. But some fibers connect non-identical areas. Most of the commissure fibers are derived from the axons of pyramidal cells. Coming to the types of commissure fibers, we have the corpus callosum, anterior commissure, posterior commissure, hypothalamic commissure, hippocampal commissure, and habenular commissure. Both hippocampal and habenular are connected with the limbic lobe. So coming to the corpus callosum, it's a largest band of commissural fibers. It connects wide areas of the cerebral cortex of two hemispheres. Except the fibers from the primary visual areas, that's area 17, and hand and foot somatostatic areas 3, 1, 2. So coming to the parts, it contains the rostrum, genome, trunk or body, and splenium. Now we'll take up one by one. That's the rostrum. It extends downwards and backwards from the genome. It ends by joining the lamina terminalis in front of the anterior commissure. Next, the genome. This is the anterior end of corpus callosum. It lies 4 centimeters behind the frontal pole. It is related anteriorly to the anterior cerebral arteries and posteriorly to the lateral ventricle. The trunk or the middle part, it lies between the genome and splenium of corpus callosum. Superiorly, it is convex from before backwards and concave from side to side. The superior surface is related to anterior cerebral arteries and lower part of falx cerebri. It is overlapped by the cingulate gyrus. The inferior surface is concave from before backwards and convex from side to side. It provides attachment to the septum pellucidum. It forms roof of the lateral ventricle. Coming to the last part, that is the splenium. It is the thickest part. It lies 6 centimeters in front of the occipital pole. The inferior surface is related to the tela cardia of the third ventricle, penile body, and tectum of the midbrain. Its superior surface is related to the inferior sagittal sinus and falx cerebri. Posteriorly, it is related to the great cerebral vein, straight sinus, and free margin of the tentorium cerebelli. Coming to the fibers of corpus callosum, it contains the rostrum, forceps minor, forceps major, and tapetum. The rostrum connects the two orbital surfaces of the frontal lobes. Forceps minor is made up of fibers of genome connecting the two frontal lobes. The tapetum, these fibers from the trunk and splenium, they form roof and lateral wall of the posterior horn of lateral ventricle and lateral wall of the inferior horn of lateral ventricle. The forceps major, fibers of splenium connect the two occipital lobes. So functional significance of this is the corpus callosum helps in coordinating activities of the two hemispheres. So with this, we have concluded the commissural fibers. Next, going on to the projecting fibers. It connects the cerebral cortex with other parts of the central nervous system, that is brainstem and spinal cord. The tracts are corticospinal, corticopontine. Example, the corona radiata and internal capsule. The corona radiata These are descending fibers of the lobes of the cerebrum converging to form the corona radiata. They continue as the internal capsule. Next, the internal capsule is a large band of fibers situated infero-medial part of each hemisphere. When you take a horizontal section, it is V-shaped. Its concavity is directed laterally, which is occupied by the lentiform nucleus. It contains fibers going to and coming from the cerebral cortex. It's a narrow gate where fibers are densely crowded. Even a small lesion gives rise to widespread derangements of the body. Traced upwards, the fibers diverge and are continuous with the corona radiata. Traced downwards, the fibers converge. Many are continuous with the crus cerebri of midbrain. Coming to its parts, it contains an anterior limb, genu, posterior limb, sublentiform part and retrolentiform part. Now we'll take up each of these separately. Coming to the anterior limb, it lies between the head of caudate nucleus, which is lying medially, and lentiform nucleus laterally. The fibers related to the anterior limb of internal capsule are the descending tracts are frontopontine, so which is a part of the cortico-pontocerebellar pathway. The ascending tracts are anterior thalamic radiation, fibers from the anterior and medial nuclei of thalamus. The male arterial supply is recurrent branch of anterior cerebral and direct branch of anterior cerebral. Coming to the genu, it's a bend. It is lying between the anterior and posterior limbs. The main fibers of genu of internal capsule are the descending fibers, that is the corticonuclear, which is a part of pyramidal tract going to the motor nuclei of cranial nerves and forming their supranuclear pathway. Ascending tracts, anterior part of superior thalamic radiation, fibers from posterior ventral nucleus of thalamus. The main arterial supply are direct branches of internal carotid and posterior communicating arteries. The posterior limb, it lies between the thalamus medially and lentiform nucleus laterally. The fibers of the posterior limb of internal capsule are the descending tracts, corticospinal tract, that's a pyramidal tract for upper limb, trunk and lower limb, corticopontine fibers and corticorubral fibers. Ascending tracts are superior thalamic radiation, fibers from globus pallidus to subthalamic nucleus. Arterial supply are lateral striate branch of middle cerebral, medial striate branch of middle cerebral and anterior choroidal. The sublentiform part lies below the lentiform nucleus. It cannot be seen in coronal section. So main fibers are the descending tracts, parieto-pontine and temporopontine fibers. Fibers from temporal lobe and thalamus. Ascending tracts are auditory radiation, fibers connecting the thalamus to the temporal lobe. Arterial supply are branches of posterior cerebral and anterior choroidal. The retrolentiform part, it lies behind the lentiform nucleus. The main descending tracts here are the parieto-pontine and occipito-pontine fibers. Fibers from occipital cortex to superior colliculus and pretectal region. Ascending tracts are posterior thalamic radiation, mainly made up of the optic radiation and partly connecting the thalamus to the parietal and occipital lobes. Arterial supply are branches of posterior cerebral artery. Coming to the motor fibers present in the internal capsule are corticopontine. So they are mainly present in the anterior limb, genu and posterior limb. Frontopontine, that is frontal lobe to reach the pontine nucleus, where they relay in opposite cerebellar hemisphere, that is the corticopontocerebellar fibers. Parietopontine and occipitopontine and temporopontine, which lies in the sublentiform part of the internal capsule. The pyramidal fibers, corticonuclear, so mainly nuclei of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 12th, along with the nucleus ambiguous for the 9th, 10th, 11th nerves of opposite side. Corticospinal fibers and fibers for the upper limb, trunk and lower limb lie in the posterior limb of internal capsule in sequential order. The extrapyramidal fibers, these fibers start from the cerebral cortex as the corticostriate and corticorubral fibers and reach the corpus striatum and red nucleus. Coming to the sensory fibers, there's the anterior thalamic radiation, superior thalamic radiation, inferior thalamic radiation, and posterior thalamic radiation. So anterior thalamic radiation, so fibers from the anterior and dorsomedial nuclei of thalamus in the cortex and frontal lobe. Superior thalamic radiation, fibers of ventral group of nuclei of thalamus reach the sensory area of frontal and parietal lobes. Inferior thalamic radiation connects the medial geniculate body and with primary auditory cortex. And posterior thalamic radiation, fibers connect the lateral geniculate body to area 17 forming the optic radiation. Coming to the arterial supply of internal capsule, the anterior limb, mainly from branches of anterior cerebral and recurrent branches of the anterior cerebral artery. Genu is supplied by branch of internal carotid or branch from the posterior communicating artery. Posterior limb is supplied by the lateral and medial striate branches of anterior choroidal and branch from the posterior communicating. Sublentiform part is supplied by branch of anterior choroidal and branch from posterior cerebral. Retrolentiform part is supplied by branches of posterior cerebral. Coming to the clinical anatomy, mainly we have the stroke or paralysis. This is usually caused by high blood pressure or atherosclerosis, which leads to hemorrhage in the substance of internal capsule. The pyramidal fibers are located in the genu and anterior 2/3 of the posterior limb of internal capsule. After an initial period of shock, there is complete hemiplegia with signs of spasticity, increased tendon reflexes, and positive Babinski's response. Sensory loss may be produced when fibers of superior thalamic radiation are involved. If hemorrhage is less severe, the patient may survive and regain partial use of his limbs. So vascular lesions usually occurs in medial and lateral striate branches of middle cerebral arteries. So this is called as Charcot's artery of cerebral hemorrhage. hemiplegia on opposite half of the body, including face, upper motor neuron type of paralysis. There is thrombosis of recurrent branch of anterior cerebral artery giving rise to upper motor neuron paralysis of opposite upper limb and face. Lesions of Genu would produce sensory and motor loss in contralateral side of body. This may not be complete since it's bilateral innervation of most cranial nerve nuclei. So this MRI scan of the normal brain. You can see the genu of corpus callosum with the forceps minor, splenium of corpus callosum, anterior horn of lateral ventricle, posterior horn of lateral ventricle, third ventricle, thalamus, caudate nucleus, lentiform nucleus, anterior limb of internal capsule, genu of internal capsule, posterior limb of internal capsule, and retro-lentiform part of the optic radiation. Similarly, another MRI scan at another level. Same features, genu of corpus callosum, splenium of corpus callosum, forceps minor, forceps major, anterior horn of lateral ventricle, posterior horn of lateral ventricle, caudate nucleus, lentiform nucleus, thalamus, anterior limb, genu and posterior limb, retrolentiform part of internal capsule, external capsule and the insula. So assignment, the types of fibers in cerebrum, enumerate the type of commissural fibers and describe corpus callosum in detail. Describe the internal capsule in detail, including its blood supply and applied anatomy. Charcot's artery of cerebral hemorrhage. So coming to a clinical problem, a hypersensitive old lady of 80 years complained of severe headache on right side. After 2 hours, she could not move her left upper and left lower limbs. Her voice was altered. CT showed bleeding in areas of internal capsule. Where is the lesion in brain responsible for her symptoms?